सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ
These teachings are permanent, can provide us permanent bliss, happiness, and peace and bliss, because our true nature, according to their revelation, is exactly that. These teachings are beginningless. They are anandi, which means they don't have a beginning point, and they are beyond space and time. They appear again and again when there are sages or rishis who are able to receive them from the Supreme Consciousness and transmit them and share to humanity. You will see that these teachings are not able to be grasped or swallowed if there is no a lot of struggle, a lot of effort, a lot of study, and a lot of meditation. And also, it is impossible to comprehend these teachings and to profoundly understand them without the help of a competent guru. So there is a need of regular, systematic study for a length of time. For some, it takes 1 year to grasp the essence of these teachings of Advaita Vedanta. For some others who are very prepared, it may take 1 second. For some others, it may take 50 years. And for some others, it may take trillions of years or trillions of lifetimes. So these teachings are not for the masses. Even in India, there are no more than 100 persons who are really involved in depth in these teachings. They may believe, a lot of others, they may believe that they are really into this understanding, but actually they are falling only they are only into the superficial approach of these teachings, the rituals, and the superficial approach of understanding. So there is a lot of people who are also misappropriating the teachings in the West, especially for gaining wealth and money and for ego gratification. And also they are selling these teachings. But in reality, according to the teachings themselves, these teachings should be offered only free of charge and only from a guru who has compassion and who wishes to help as many as possible. So you can see many phenomena in this era of what we call Neo-Advaita or Neo-Vedanta, which is a complete misunderstanding of the scriptures and these teachings. You can see a lot of exploitation of the teachings and a lot of scandals as well. So these teachings, if you take them out of their context, full context, which is Sanatana Dharma in general, it can be really a disaster. So what we try to do here is to present these teachings as they are, following the right Guru Parampara or the right authentic spiritual lineage, which goes back as I said earlier, from beginningless time. And we will present these teachings. We will offer these teachings always for free. There will never be any kind of charging or any kind of asking anything from you. And always these teachings will be available for free, and also for your friends and your relatives and for whomever wish to join us. Also, I want to add, since this is the first Zoom class, that if you have personal topics that you would like to discuss and that you would like a private session with this body-mind complex called Satchitananda, you can arrange private sessions through my best Sishya, through my best student, Andrew. So you can just call him or write to him, and he will arrange for you a private session. So everybody is most welcome. We are here to help as many as possible, and we are here to help also in what we call mananam, clarifying all your doubts about the teachings and solving all your questions. If Satchitananda will make out of wrong English and the wrong expression in English a mistake, Satchitananda wishes to transmit or to convey that the source is always my Guru Swami Paramarthananda, and also the Sringeri Jagat Gurus. So if somebody don't understand something and it seems that there is a kind of a conflict due to lack of good English expression, the source is in the transcripts of my Guru, and also in the Upanishads themselves, Vedanta itself. So by saying all this, welcome you all, and we can start now with the reading. Andrew can read the verses that we can study, and then if somebody wishes to ask something, is welcome to ask and to proceed like that. So our intention is to study through the transcripts of my Guru, Swami Paramarthananda, and when there are any questions, we can try to solve them. We can try to answer them in these classes. And in the end, if the time didn't pass so much and we have, let's say, 15 minutes or 20 minutes, I can guide you in what we call Nididhyasana, the Vedantic meditation. So, Andrew, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Shall I read from just the verses?
Yes, the verses, and if there are no questions, we can continue with the transcript.
Okay, so I'll read there's five verses. Viveka Chudamani, the crest jewel of discrimination. I prostrate myself before Govinda, the perfect teacher, who is absorbed always in the highest state of bliss. His true nature cannot be known by the senses or the mind. It is revealed only through knowledge of the scriptures. Only through God's grace may we obtain those three rarest advantages: human birth, the longing for liberation, and discipleship to an illumined teacher. How auspicious. to an illumined teacher. I blame my glasses. Nevertheless, there are those who somehow manage to obtain this rare human birth, together with bodily and mental strength and an understanding of the scriptures, and yet are so deluded they do not struggle for liberation. Such men are suicides. They clutch at the unreal and destroy themselves. Number 6. Men may recite the scriptures and sacrifice to the holy spirits. They may perform rituals and worship deities. But until a man wakes to knowledge of his identity with the Atman, liberation can never be obtained. No, not even at the end of many hundreds of Brahma's years. Number 11. Final verse. Right action helps to purify the heart, but it does not give us direct perception of the reality. The reality is attained through discrimination, but not in the smallest degree, even by 10 million acts.
So if there are no any questions ready for now, Andrew can continue with the transcript from my Guru Swami Paramarthananda.
If you have a question, you can, how do you do it again? Reactions, isn't it? Reactions, yeah, and you raise your hand. You press reactions and then raise your hand if you have a question. I think I've got a question if nobody else has. Ah, yeah. If you're engaging in the preparatory practices, such as mantra recitation, I think Swamiji says that these practices are for purifying the mind. And then after you've purified the mind, you then move on to nididhyasana, but Vedantic meditation. Are they sequential like that? Or when you're doing your mantra recitation, is it appropriate to also incorporate nididhyasana, thinking, oh, who's reciting this mantra? Where is the person reciting this mantra? Or are they two distinctly separate practices?
Yes, very nice question. In general, in Sanatana Dharma, and in particular in Advaita Vedanta, we use Karma Yoga, which includes also Upasanam, as a preparation circle or phase. In general, when we are in the path of Jnana Yoga, which is the path of self-knowledge, in general, we stop doing Karma Yoga because we have entered the path of Jnana Yoga. Nevertheless, when we see that we are experiencing difficulties in the profound understanding of Jnana Yoga, then we can continue in parallel the Chitta Shuddhi, the purification of the mind, through Karma Yoga, until we are in this mature stage where we can abandon completely Karma Yoga, which of course includes also Upasanam. For those who don't know, Upasanam is called the practice or the sadhana when we meditate on a preferable deity or Ishta Devata. It may be Shiva, it may be Rama, it may be Krishna, Devi. It's not so important. So we use this meditation for the purification of the mind in order to arrive on that particular mature stage of preparation, where we can enter Jnana Yoga itself. Now, if you are in this group of people who are doing in parallel Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga, and I mean with that, if you do the any kind of Karma Yoga together with Upasana, and also you are doing Atma Vichara, which means inquiry for self-knowledge, then everything is again sequential. You start with preparing the mind with the Japamala recitation of the mantra that you have received from your guru through Diksha, through the initiation. And then you can proceed into the teachings themselves of self-knowledge, or even if you are more advanced disciple, you can proceed into the Mahavakyams, such as Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman, which means I am the infinite impersonal awareness itself. So there are different categories of group of people according to their spiritual capacity, let's say. Then again, if you think that and if you feel that you can combine the Japa Mala, the mantra recitation, with a sense of Mahavakya understanding, such as there is nobody here, there is no body-mind complex here as a meditator who is doing this Japamala, but it is only consciousness, there is only consciousness awareness, then also you can do that. So it is completely depending on your spiritual maturity. I don't know if you want to elaborate more.
No, that makes sense. I understand. Yeah, because sometimes when you're reciting your mantra, then you can feel like inspired, if you like, and that it's sometimes it's a good opportunity to simply do self-inquiry at that moment when you feel like the grace, if you like.
Yes, the grace is always here and now, and it is your own nature, but it is veiled somehow from the thinking process, from the reflected consciousness called Chidabbasa. But this is also the reason why we do preparation through Karma Yoga. And Karma Yoga will eliminate a lot the vrittis in the mind, or the vasanas in the mind, which are the predispositions of the mind. And if somebody did that in previous lifetimes, in previous janmas, then there is no need to do that in this janma, or he don't need to do that a lot. So it is always depending on the spiritual capacity of each and every apparent individual. There is no general rule for how to work with these tools, with these sadhanas. All of these are just tools to help us to arrive on that spiritual maturity where we can enter self-knowledge. As we will see in Viveka Chudamani, there is no other means for moksha, self-liberation, except of self-knowledge, because samsara and suffering is rooted in ignorance, in darkness, in the false belief that I am a body-mind complex, I am an ego, I am an individual or a person, or I have individual identity. So this false belief should be removed as soon as possible. And for that ignorance, the recipe is self-knowledge. Just like if you want to learn, if you are ignorant of the German language or the Chinese language, you need to remove this ignorance by study and by the knowledge of Chinese or German language under the help of a competent teacher and the relevant books and the relevant classes. So the same with Jnana Yoga. Jnana Yoga is the only means for self-knowledge and for liberation, for moksha. Actually, Jnana Yoga means exactly that. Means knowledge of the self. And we speak for the self with capital S, not of the self of misconception, the small self, the ego, the person, the individual identity, which is only, of course, an illusion. It never existed, really. It seemingly appears that there are individual beings, individual identities, but in reality, it is only dreamlike. It is just an illusion. It is mithya, which means impermanent and not really true. Also, I want to add that about karma yoga, that sooner or later we need to abandon karma yoga. And when we speak about karma yoga, it includes, of course, Jnana Yoga, because the highest form of bhakti is Jnana Yoga. So when we speak about bhakti or devotion, we speak of particular levels of understanding. And the maximum and the highest, the most profound bhakti is bhakti to the real self, which is your own self as Brahman, infinite awareness. Then, if you did that, if you did karma yoga, which includes upasana, the worshipping of Saguna Brahman, the God with an apparent form for many lifetimes, then sooner or later you will have this spiritual maturity to enter Jnana Yoga. If you didn't, as I said earlier, you can do that parallel. You can combine karma yoga, which includes, of course, bhakti, and together you can touch from time to time Jnana Yoga, until you have this spiritual maturity to abandon karma yoga and upasana and stay only in the majestic Jnana Yoga. Now, karma yoga should be abandoned. Why, if you ask? Because karma yoga is reinforcing the Dvaita. It is reinforcing the illusion of duality or even plurality. Why? Because you believe you are somebody, a worshipper, and the worship deity is something distinct from you. So I'm here, I'm a person or a soul or a jivatma who is worshipping somebody else, the God who is something distinct. Now, this is, of course, a great illusion, and it is not the absolute truth. But on the other hand, if you are not on that spiritual maturity level, you are allowed from the scriptures themselves and Sanatana Dharma itself to worship Saguna Brahman, Brahman with a form, until you have the ultimate spiritual maturity. Then you can see that there is only, in reality, Nirguna Brahman, the formless awareness, the formless or Brahman without any kind of form. attributeless Brahman, Nirguna Brahman.
Okay, thank you very much. I believe Michael has a question.
Yes, Michael?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I just so you were talking about the yogas, and so I'm just wondering where Raja Yoga fits in, I guess, and maybe you can correct my misunderstanding, because I thought that Karma Yoga is like, it's of the world, like worldly things and whatnot. Then Raja Yoga, I thought was the mind, or the inner the ego, let's say, so working with the ego. And then of course, yes, Jnana Yoga, the highest, the supreme consciousness, the Brahman. And then Bhakti Yoga is of course the devotion to the path, right? So please, yeah, maybe clarify if I'm misunderstanding in any way.
Yes, very nice question. Look, different traditions or sampradayas or guru paramparas, they have different understanding and sometimes even contradictory opinion about this topic. For example, if you follow a guru parampara which is following the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, of Rishi Patanjali, then for them, Raja Yoga is the most profound path. But if you follow, if you want to follow Advaita Vedanta, Raja Yoga is not considered the most profound path. And there are many explanations for that. For example, the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali and Rishi Patanjali himself is belonging into a Advaita approach, a dualistic approach of understanding. This Advaita approach cannot, according to Advaitins, cannot lead to moksha. Why? Because it perpetuates, it maintains, it is reinforcing the distinction between the worshipper and the worshipped. It creates more and more this illusion of distinct entities. The entity of God, the worshipper, the worshipped, and the entity of the person who is worshipping. But in reality, for the absolute truth of Advaita Vedanta, there is only Brahman. There is only infinite impersonal awareness consciousness. What we call Nirguna Brahman, the formless reality, the formless Brahman. But at the same time, I should not be misunderstood. There are different, as I mentioned many times, different levels of spiritual capacity, spiritual maturity. So if somebody is not on that level of being able to comprehend the absolute and abstract teachings of Advaita, then he should follow a Advaitic path, a path which is more suitable to his or her spiritual maturity. So everything is okay, everything is fine. That's why we have many traditions and many approaches for the truth and many streams of knowledge, because there are so many different levels of capacity of individuals and their capacity. Then for Raja Yoga, even more, they're very much focusing on what they call the cessation of thoughts. In Advaita Vedanta, we have different approach. We don't care and we are not interested at all for the cessation of thoughts. We are interested to direct the thoughts into Mahavakyams, the great statements, such as Aham Brahmasmi, I am infinite impersonal awareness. So there are different approaches. And the one who feels more attracted, let's say, to Raja Yoga or other paths, should continue like that. Because even if he will try to enter Jnana Yoga, everything will appear completely difficult and completely abstract. So it is like that. And Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, for example, they speak all the time what they call Nirvikalpaka Samadhi, the cessation of all kinds of thoughts. But this cannot bring self-knowledge, for example. It's like you want to learn how to swim, and you say, okay, I will learn how to swim by staying in thoughtlessness. Is that possible? Or you want to learn the German language, and you say, I will do meditation and I will learn the German language like that. You need to find a teacher, and you need to study this language, and you need to buy books, and you need to do this study. And so you can acquire the knowledge of German language. It is the same with self-knowledge, according to Advaitins. You need a guru parampara, an authentic lineage, and then you need the Upanishads, which are directing to self-knowledge. And something even more important is that our true nature cannot be objectified. So we cannot make it an object of perceiving or an object of a study. It cannot be objectified. So our self, our real self, our true nature as infinite awareness cannot be an object, cannot be objectified. So the only means for finding this truth about our true nature is through the means of knowledge, pramanam, of the Advaita Vedanta teachings, through a competent guru and a competent and authentic guru parampara, an authentic lineage. But of course, this is our approach as Advaitins. If you discuss with other people who are following another guru parampara, they will have their own explanations. They will speak completely different. There are people, for example, who are following Vaishnavism, and they believe that by chanting a mantra all day long, they will attain moksha. They will have self-knowledge. For us, it is impossible, just with the mantra, to attain self-knowledge, to know who you are. Others, they believe that through austerities or through hatha yoga, through physical exercises or asanas or pranayamas, breathing exercises, they will have what they call the rising of the kundalini into the sahasrara chakra. And they are searching for spiritual powers, which is called siddhis and riddhis. Others, they try to find self-knowledge and enlightenment through only meditation. Others through tantra yoga. Others through kundalini yoga. Others through just with rituals. And they believe that by doing all these kinds of rituals, that it is enough. So it is very difficult to say that this should not be there. It should be there because we have different capacities and different spiritual levels of spiritual maturity. So, for example, this body-mind complex, Satchitananda, has two daughters, twins daughters, Tara and Samadhi, which are 9 years old. Satchitananda cannot teach them right now, 9 years old, Advaita Vedanta. What Satchitananda is doing is teaching them bhakti, karma yoga, values, Dharma Sastram, how to respect their elders, how to respect their parents, how to worship the god with the form, how to lead a moral lifestyle. But I cannot tell them that, look, you do not exist as this appearance and you are infinite impersonal awareness. I have tried that, and for them it was a great shock. They were crying non-stop. And they said, Dad, you should wait a little bit. We are not ready for that. This was their response. So it's the same with all these different kinds of people and their spiritual level of maturity. For us, Advaitins, the only means of moksha, self-realization, enlightenment, is self-knowledge, atma vichara, the inquiry of what you really are through the Advaita Vedanta, the Upanishads, scriptures, through a guru and through an authentic guru parampara, an authentic lineage. I don't know if you want me to elaborate more.
Well, I was actually wondering if I could ask a second question, kind of follow up to what you were saying.
Sure,
so I follow Sarva Priyananda quite a lot, and he sometimes speaks about what would be a direct knowledge experience, or just direct knowledge or inner guru. Not to take away from the guru, I realize that the guru is 100% necessary, but if one is able to come to that inner guru, if you feel that you have a connection to that, should that not be your primary goal, to constantly go back to the place of the inner guru, like to the direct knowledge, to if that makes sense. I'm not sure if I'm making sense, but maybe you can just...
I understand that this topic is very important. The inner guru is the only guru, and it is your own nature, your own self as Brahman, as infinite impersonal awareness. This is what you really are, and this is, of course, the ultimate guru. But at the same time, there is a process that has to be done to unveil this true nature to you. If you didn't do this process in previous lifetimes, then to claim that I am connected with my inner guru and I will do whatever I like and I will just connect with my inner guru, it will be a disaster. It will lead you just to ignorance and to darkness. For example, we have the great sage Ramana Maharishi. Ramana Maharishi didn't had a guru in this lifetime. And at 16 years old, he had a death experience. And it was enough for him at 16 years old to leave the world and go to the search of enlightenment, self-realization, moksha. And it was really just a little bit he needed to complete the process. But according to Advaita Vedanta, this is called mystics. There are people who had a guru and they were following a guru parampara in previous janmas, in previous lifetimes. And they needed just a little bit more to accomplish and to finish this process. So, but how many, you can ask, how many are like Ramana Maharishi? Some, they may claim that I am like Ramana Maharishi and I don't need a guru. And I don't need to study the scriptures, and I don't need to do any spiritual practice. Or I just need to do my own practice without the guidance of a guru and without following a guru parampara. They can claim that, of course, but they will end up in ignorance and darkness and confusion, because there must be sincerity and honesty. You can observe, for example, yourself, or anybody can observe the body-mind complex. How the body-mind complex is acting during the day. For example, if there are very bad situations or events, is this body-mind complex able to connect with the inner guru and act accordingly? Or there is anger, there is violence, there is suffering, there is samsara. So a lot of people, they are using the example of Ramana Maharishi, and they are just not following a guru, an external guru, and they don't follow the scriptures, and they don't do a right process. And this is the phenomena that we can see in Neo-Advaitins and Neo-Vedantins, and also all these fake circles of the so-called non-duality circles or non-duality teachings, because they are using Ramana Maharishi, they are misappropriating his life and his teachings among with other scriptures like GITA and ASHTAVAKRA GITA, to satisfy their ego and to lead a normal lifestyle with ego gratification. And actually they're ending in confusion, darkness, and suffering and ignorance. So everybody can check his life, his or her life. If they are in happiness, in bliss and peace, and they feel they don't really need a guru and a guru parampara, then surely there may be, like another Ramana Maharishi, spiritual maturity. But I'm completely sure that there are millions out there who are not like Ramana Maharishi, who are really in need, a complete need of an external guru, a guru parampara, scriptural study, and spiritual practices, and at the same time a moral, dharmic, spiritual lifestyle to follow. So yes, of course, the real guru will always say to you, will always warn you that sooner or later you must see that you are Brahman. And you must say with total certainty, without any doubts, that I am Brahman. I'm not a body-mind complex. I'm not a Jivatma. I'm not an individual identity, but I am Brahman. I am impersonal awareness, infinite awareness. This is what the real guru will convey to his or her disciples. So actually this is the truth, but how many are having this spiritual maturity to see that, to comprehend that, and to have this profound understanding without the help and the methodology of a guru parampara and what we call an external guru. And ultimately, the external guru is also your own self. Why? Because there is only one consciousness, one awareness. So even what appears as an external guru, actually it is your own self. Anyway, there is really the need of using and allow all this help that we can receive to come to us. Because if we believe that we can just meditate by ourselves, or if we believe that by watching a video from time to time in YouTube, or reading a book, or going to a retreat, that this may be enough. But for millions of people, this cannot be enough. And the scriptures themselves, they say that self-knowledge can be done effectively only with the help of a competent guru, who himself also was a sishya, a disciple of another guru, and part of a guru parampara, an authentic lineage. So, yes, this is a very big topic, a very big discussion all over the world about the need of what we call an external guru and the guru parampara. It needs a lot of clarification, and it needs to see the truth without allowing the ego to use or to misappropriate the teachings. Because some fake gurus, what they do is they say, you don't need to do any scriptural study, you don't need to do any sadhana, any spiritual practices, because you are already Brahman. So there is no need to do anything at all. And you just come and listen to my talks, or listen to my YouTube videos, or buy my books, come to my retreats, and that is enough. But the scriptures themselves, they say that the need of a guru is indispensable. The guru is indispensable. The guru parampara is indispensable. The sadhanas are indispensable. The moral or dharmic lifestyle is also indispensable. And there is a need of an effort and a struggle for self-knowledge. So, but the ego is it feels very satisfied and is very keen to follow a fake guru, when the ego feels that don't need to do any effort, any struggle, and can continue its lifestyle of sense gratification and enjoyment and having fun. But when a guru says, a true guru says, look, the process is very difficult and it needs a methodology, it needs a scriptural study with the guidance of a competent guru, it needs to follow a guru parampara, you need to be a moral person, you need to follow the dharmic sastram, the dharma sastram, and to be a dharmic person, a spiritual person. And you need to follow all the recipe of the scriptures. Then what do you think? The ego feels satisfied, feels joyful, or feels ready to and keen to follow this guru? No, not at all. The ego will follow all these fake gurus who are just selling superficial training or superficial practices, and not real struggle and practice and a sincere study of the scriptures. Yes, it needs really a big discussion, all this topic.
Thank you.
Welcome. If there is no other question, maybe Andrew can read a little bit from the transcript of my guru.
Yeah, we've got 5 minutes. I can read. Where did it go? Just give me a second. Okay. As I had announced earlier, we will take up the selected verses of Viveka Chudamani for our study. Viveka Chudamani is a Vedantic work written by Adi Shankaracharya. It is a fairly big work, consisting of 580 verses. Of those, we have selected 108 verses for our study. The title of this work is Viveka Chudamani. The word Chudamani means an ornament for the head. Chuda means head. Mani means a gem or a jewel. Crest, jewel, or head ornament is Chudamani. It is not that often worn, but we can see that ornament worn by ladies during special occasions, like weddings or in Bharatanatyam dance. My usual perfect pronunciation. Here, this work is called the Crest jewel. The word is famous in Valmiki Ramayanam, where Sita gives her Chudamani to Arjaneya to be shown to Rama as a token or proof. Chudamani Pradhanam. Rama gives his Anguliyakam, his ring, and Sita gives her Chudamani Anguliyaka Pradhanam and Chudamani Pradhanam are well known in Ramayanam. We are using that word here for Viveka. Viveka means discrimination. Discrimination is a very important qualification required for a spiritual seeker. The entire spiritual sadhana consists of 2 stages, and the first stage, Karma Yoga, requires Viveka, discrimination. Discrimination between Dharma and Adharma. A Karma Yogi has to take to a lifestyle of Dharma, avoiding Adharma. Therefore, a Karma Yogi requires Viveka between Dharma and Adharma. Adharma, Adharma, Viveka. And once he has got the requisite qualifications, he has to go to Jnana Yoga, which also requires Viveka, discrimination between Atma and Anatma, the real I and the false I. Thus, Jnana Yoga involves Atma, Anatma, Viveka. Karma Yoga involves Dharma, Adharma, Viveka. That means the entire spiritual journey requires discrimination or discretion faculty. And therefore, Viveka is compared to a Chudamani, a crest jewel. Here, it is not a physical ornament that is used on outside of the head, but it is an inner ornament, one that is required within the head, not just by females, but by every spiritual seeker. Therefore, it is appropriately called Viveka Chudamani, the crest jewel of discrimination, which leads a seeker to liberation. The importance of Viveka is thus indicated in the very title of the book, Viveka Chudamani. With this background, we will now enter into the text proper. No further elaborate introduction is required for the text, since an introduction to the text is available within the text itself, beautifully presented by the Acharya himself. We will get the details here. We will enter into the verses proper. The first one is Magala Karanam, an auspicious invocation for the sake of successful completion of this work. We will read the verse. I will chant, you can repeat after me. No, we won't. In this invocatory verse, Sankaracharya is offering salutations to his guru. Aham Pranata Asmi. I offer my namaskara to Sadguru Govindam. Word Govinda here can refer to the Lord also, who of course is Adi Guru. Govinda also happens to be the name of Shankaracharya's own guru, Govinda Bhagavatapada. Bhagavatapada? So Govinda refers to Shankaracharya's guru. Therefore he says, Sadgurum Govindam. To my Guru Govinda, Bhagavatada. Apologies. I offer my namaskara. The word Sadguru again has 2 meanings. One is Sadguru. Sadguru Karma Darya means a good, noble, well-qualified spiritual teacher. That's because the scriptures talk about the qualifications of the student also, and the qualifications of the teacher also. We will be seeing that later. Srotiyam, Brahma Ishtam. These are the two qualifications of a guru. Whichever guru has these qualifications is called Sadguru. Sadguru Hora, well-qualified guru. This is one meaning. The second meaning is Sata Brahmana Hudapesta, one who teaches. A teacher of what? Sat. The word Sat means Brahman. Thus, it's a very long word. It means a qualified teacher of Brahman, the ultimate reality. Thus, a qualified spiritual teacher is Sadguru, and his name is Govinda Bhagavatpada. I offer namaskar to this guru, seeking his grace for the completion of the text. I need to stop here because we're running out of time. I tried my best.
So thank you all for participating. Namaste to all. And please study as much as you can. And we will meet next Wednesday. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, everybody. See you next week.
पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः